Well, hello everybody. Today, hopefully, I will have a separate podcast, or it'll be joined into this later. Haven't decided yet. Where David and I discuss the sermon series, and we kind of do the nerdy dive into the items that we don't get to do in the sermon. So, why am I talking about that on the main podcast? Well, I just wanted to just let people know that should be coming out. Next, uh, I've been thinking a lot about ramblings and been thinking about watching current events and my opinion being worth listening to or not listening to. And I really would appreciate if people actually commented like, "Hey, talk about current events and give your opinion more." I I don't like giving my opinion on things that I'm not knowledgeable about. And I want to do a dive into things to have more of an opinion, but also my role as a pastor is not to give my opinion on everything, but to let people see how Jesus makes us reconsider how we interact with the world. And so, um, comment below if there's any current events you'd want me to interact with. Shoot me a message on any of the avenues that you have my contact information if there's something you want me to talk about. But usually I give running stories, and I'm trying to think about a running update from last video to this video. And in general, running has gone pretty poorly since the half marathon. I don't know. Um, I haven't felt amazing, haven't really had those like, oh, this is a great running experience for me to go try to do. I've enjoyed every time I've ran with my siblings. Weather has not been super conducive to runs. I had a decent run earlier this week, and then yesterday I went for a run. It was a short run, 3.5 miles, and my heart was acting like I was racing an 800 meter. Like it was. So, nerd talk for people who don't care. Here's a trigger warning. I'm going to talk about running nerd stuff. But at 36, my heart rate is considered a threshold run. If it goes over 151 beats a minute, it's considered like max heart rate. If it's over 172. So on a normal run, it should be below 150, ideally around 140 beats a minute. And my heart was spiking into the 170s, and all I was doing was a simple jog. And I don't know if maybe I've had too much spicy food in the last couple of weeks. Don't know if I'm dehydrated, whatever. But it's one of those interesting aspects where in the running community, there's this conversation about pay more attention to how your body feels versus what certain data points are. So on my best day, I could be going for an easy run, and let's just say an easy pace is an 8 minute mile. And on my best day, I'm feeling super good. I could ideally be running a 650 mile and not thinking about it. And my watch could say, oh, my watch gives me the data that I'm running super fast in relation to a easy run. And it says, hold on, slow up, yeah, back off. But if my body's feeling good, what is easy in that day is actually in relation to how my body feels. You could be feeling like you're doing great and your heart rate is high, stride, how many steps per minute. And so just this goes back to a point of emphasis that I frequently made is know yourself in the sense of like, know how your body normally responds to certain situations, understand what it feels like when you're stressed, understand what it feels like when you're sick, when you're not sick. Think about, whenever it's hot versus cold, high humidity, low humidity, because the better we understand our body, the better we can understand, am I sick? Am I not sick? Is this a good run? Is this a bad run? But in non-running related news, I've been trying to do more basic fitness stuff like push-ups, crunches, leg, hip exercises. I'm getting too old to only run. The body starts to say they're stabilizing muscles you need to strengthen. And so it's interesting, during COVID, I remember there was a push-up challenge you did on Instagram where it's like, record yourself doing 10 push-ups or 20 push-ups, upload it to your story, and tag people that need to respond before the story gets deleted in the 24 hours. And I remember just pushing out multiple videos of those a day, with 25 push-ups, and then just tagging multiple people are doing multiple videos. And for most of my adult life, doing 25 push-ups at once has not been difficult. But it got to a point at the end of last year where just like fitness-wise, it didn't feel like I could run much, and then push-ups were getting difficult. And I remember just thinking like, man, I remember posting these videos, and I remember doing core workouts with athletes, and being like, hey guys, like this isn't something that is difficult. So a goal for 2026 is, I was like, the first week of 2026, 26 push-ups. The next week, starting on a Monday, 27 push-ups a day, and then it's going to build 1 push-up a day. Don't work out on Sundays is the typical thing. All this relates back to, but why? Why would I do something fitness-wise? I was talking with a friend last night, men's group, and it was brought up, what is fitness? What does it mean to be healthy? And like, healthiness is not just someone's resting heart rate. It's not just their blood pressure. It's not just the body fat percentage. It's not how fast they can run a mile. It's not how many push-ups they can do. Those are aspects of saying what your body's fitness level is. But fitness encompasses confidence. It encompasses relational aspects, spiritual health, and a healthy life is balanced. And so from an athlete standpoint, from an athletic fitness standpoint, if I am a marathoner and I could run a 2:07 marathon, it wouldn't matter how many push-ups I could do because I would be winning prize money and I'd be fine. But if I'm a just normal, average, recreational runner who has 3 children, my ability to run a 5K at whatever time is not as important as to whether or not I can pick up my kids, I can wrestle with my kids, I can jump on the trampoline, play basketball, do different things that involve something other than cardiovascular health and my legs. On top of that, too, I was talking to another guy who his daughter's in the same age as my daughters. They play on the same basketball team, and the fact that like after 30, only 10% of people ever actually sprint. And I think about lateral movement, moving side to side. And my oldest brother, he's old. He, in relation to me, he's 7 years older than me, so he's in his 40s. He does an old man rec basketball league, and just think about how good that is to move your body in different ways and to sprint. Well, what does all that have to do with anything? Why would I, as a pastor, care about sports? Isn't life all about our relationship with God? Some people would accuse me or say that, and with that comes a poor biblical understanding of our body and our relationship to everything else. So if God created the world and gave stewardship of the world to humanity, part of his creation is our own bodies and stewarding our bodies well. So obviously we need to take care of what God has given to us. Next, in the Bible, it talks about God giving us a renewed body, and then the renewed heavens and earth. So just so people are aware, I know there's a conversation that is highly academic, where it asks, is it a new heavens and new earth and a new body that God has given us, or is it something that's renewed? And it goes back into a understanding of what a Greek word is and all this other stuff, which is very interesting deep dive and linguistics and etymology. All that to say, there is a pretty strong body of evidence that says that it's not that it's going to be something brand new that happens, but it's something that is renewed. So Jesus and his resurrection body, like, he rose from the grave. His old body didn't stay in the tomb, and he was given a new body when the Father rose him from the grave. It was his old body that was made new, and there were signs of that old body that lasted, as in the scars from being crucified. And so all that informs us as a human being and as Christians that we take care of our body and the world around us, because it's something that God has given us stewardship of. And it shows that the ultimate ownership isn't mine, but the ultimate ownership is that it's something from God. So if you've been stewarded something, it means that it's not yours. It's someone is entrusting you with it. From a parenting standpoint, it gives you a humility that says, this child is God's, and he's allowing me to be the one who raises this child and teaches this child and trains this child up until they become an adult. And from other aspects, from an economic status, it like hoarding our own items is against the idea of stewarding. So why am I hoarding something and not using it for a greater good? Why is it something that's only mine? You look at the parables of Jesus, and he talks about the person who makes extra grain bins rather than and says, look at what all I've done and what all I have. I should make another grain bin for me, so that way my grain can be stored. And Jesus in the parable has God say to this person, like, don't you know that you're going to give it an account? And the guy dies the night after he has all these grandiose thoughts. And then also in the book of James, James says, weep and howl, you rich, for the riches that you've stored up, or the wages that you've kept from your laborers are stored up as testimony against you. And this idea of hoarding, like, hoarding is an unbiblical concept because it doesn't recognize the ultimate ownership isn't ours. Like, I remember having a professor talk with me. So obviously the library behind me, it's huge. And he struggled, and I struggle a little bit too, that concept of, why do I have my own library rather than trusting a public library? And that's where that's informed me. I have lent out multiple books that have not returned to me. And I'm sure during college or seminary, there was a book that I was lent that I didn't return. In fact, Seth Stottle, if you watch this video, I have your Acts commentary by your undergrad professor on my shelf, and I'm using it again for another sermon series to Acts. But if a book never comes back to me, my thought is, wouldn't it be so much better if that book is read rather than sitting on my shelf? And so often, if what we have is a status symbol rather than a usefulness symbol, I've acquired a library so that way I can research and study, not so that way I can have books on my shelf that look good. Now, I think they look good. I like it. But sometimes whenever I look around and I see the books that I have, it also shows a disproportionality of priorities, where I could think, oh, why am I so invested in something to study at a future standpoint rather than, why don't I have more novels and the interaction of imagination and creativity? So that's my wanderings and meanderings of my brain today. I'm really looking forward to sitting down with David talking about the book of Acts, especially since one of my best friends in seminary, he is a professor over in Chennai, India at Hindustan Bible Institute, and he finished his PhD work 2 years ago, I think it was, and his dissertation is on the ecclesiology or the theology of the church in the book of Acts. And so I've sent him a couple questions yesterday and wanted to know his take, and told him, hey, send me the articles that you've written, because I think when we read scripture well and we look at the big picture narrative that's being painted from page 1 to page 900 from my pocket Bible, or from Genesis to Revelation, we start to see some different things developing. And so then the big picture helps inform our small details, and then also the small details help inform us how we understand the implication of the big story in our life. So that's what I talk about with the story of creation. That informs us about a good God, an all-powerful God, and that God has created us and then gives us a duty that we should then steward that job well, rather than getting caught in side skirmishes. Because the big story of Scripture, we see that actually creation is discussed. The theological implications of God as creator is more discussed in the book of Psalms and Isaiah, as to God being the creator, and how if he's the creator, that means he has authority. So I'm trying to think, there's a quick top 5 for me to throw out there at the end of this video, just to make things interesting. Top 5 comic books that I would recommend people to read, to have some sort of fun. So first off, I'm going to go just crazy side conversation for people. I think the Milestone compendiums that are coming out, people should read those, and they should read them. Icon and Hardware are great reads. And then the next would be something that I want to read, the Batman, the Ultimate Batman. It seems as though in the reworking of the new Batman, he's a lot like Hardware from the Milestone comics in the 1990s, with being a computer engineer, and not a computer engineer, being an engineer, and how that informs him. So with this, I guess I'm going to stick with the DC/Milestone. I think people need to read the Batman No Man's Land, and then also it's so iconic. People need to read the Doomsday series with Superman. Now, why do I think comic books are important, and why do I give a top 5 things that people need to read? So often we are stuck inside of very simple and ordinary things, and we need to be pulled into thinking about things extraordinary. And also, we often lack the ability to look at simple sociology or society things whenever we sit inside of our own world. And so then this goes into the same idea of read novels, but with comic books and science fiction. It helps us look at, it helps turn the camera on our own self and our own society in a manner that has better symbolism and pictures, because rather than trying to do a straightforward, this person is this person, it lets creativity go, and you can explore the themes of good, bad, justice, and also what does it mean to be finite versus infinite, and what does power do, what does influence do, from a 10,000 foot camera. All right. Looking forward to talk about the book of Acts with David. Looking forward to preach through it. This week's sermon is Acts chapter 2, and there's so much that's going on in it.